welcome back to the IWAR Network Tubecast. I'm your host, Juan, Cena, and with me this evening, Scott Anderson. How do you tonight, Scott?
Pretty good, thank you. How are you?
I'm fantastic as always. This episode will be the March Cycle first take. We're going to take our first reactions to the March Cycle here in the IWA. We're each going to pick 3 subjects that we're going to cover and go over it. So, Scott, what's your first take?
Well, my first take is from the NWL, and retaining the league title is the patient stalker.
He's been waiting in the woods for like 3 weeks.
Right. So he waited everybody out. He came back, destroyed everyone, and retained the title.
I wish he TT'd.
He's not TTing, and we're all interested in his character. So I think that says something about his potential.
Yeah, definitely.
Because I, for one, think that he is willing to wait for those that he is stalking. He is patient. He is willing to put in the time for the people he stalks.
Yeah.
That's my opinion.
He stalked he waited out all 10 regional champions and ended up retaining the title this cycle. Wins 10 free matches, by the way. Yeah. Has a hefty record of 85-5-5 with 4 stars. And guys, if you want to get a good indication of how you're really doing, win-losses are one thing. You gotta look at the stars. The stars are, by the way, 495 and above strategies.
Yeah. And
you want to take a look at those stars. So those stars will give you a better indication of how you're doing.
No doubt. I don't even know if he's halfway through, and he's already got more stars than any of my 3 characters had in their entire year. So yeah. I know none of them left the NWL with 4 stars. Yeah. So kudos to him.
Yeah. Now, staying in the NWL, we have the Carnage Squad saying farewell to their good buddy, Chris Hero. Now, I'm curious to see where the Carnage Squad goes from here. They should probably be beating up some people shortly. I can see Carnage Squad versus the Railroad Express. That'd be awesome.
That would be cool. Yeah. I'm a Railroad Express fan.
Choo-choo!
Yeah, that sounded dirty all of a sudden, but...
I lived by a train. I was kind of hoping the train would come through. It didn't, unfortunately.
Nice touch.
So I'm digging what the Carnage Squad is doing. I'm looking forward to see what they do here on out. I think they're going to whoop some ass, though.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. All right. So Mr. Cena, what's your first take?
Venom Scott once again in the BRL. Now, in my humble opinion, I don't think this is the real Venom Scott. I think this is a Venom Scott imposter because I'm a big fan of Venom Scott. I don't know if you guys know this, but I do read just about every single bulletin that has a commissioner in it. So every league that has a commissioner, I tend to read their bulletins. And I think Venom Scott that I know has better grammar. So there you go. I'm curious to see who the other 2 masked men. I have ideas too about who the masked men. I don't want to spoil it. I don't know for sure, but I think I have an idea who the masked men are going to be, and I'm curious to see if it proves me correct.
Are you talking about the masked men in the UNL or
no?
No. Okay. No, never mind. Okay, sorry. We're universe crossing.
Yeah. What are you doing? Ridiculous.
Sorry.
Also want to point out Máscaras Negro, the Black Mask. See, this is what the rookies need to go look at. Máscaras Negro. Again, he is building up his character and giving himself a really, really big backstory here.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if he's going to feud with El Barbaro, or he's going to attack El Barbaro because luchadors, they don't get along. So I'm curious to see if El Barbaro will take umbrage with having another mass youth luchador in the BRL. No Gato this cycle, though. I was very disappointed.
Yeah, I think maybe that's why they reduced the size of his TT to a ridiculous amount. I almost had to email and voice my displeasure.
That's almost Johnny Vegas level.
Yeah, I like my El Barbaro TT really big and bold, and his pictures are one of the highlights every cycle for me. And
El Gato might be my favorite non-wrestler ever.
It's hard to argue. I mean, he's got to be top 3. If nothing else, I think the Christmas picture will live in infamy for me. I will never not smile thinking about the Christmas picture.
I like his award accepting speech picture.
Also good.
This is also one of my favorites. In addition, we had a 501 in the BRL.
Nice.
Unfortunately, they didn't take a title. Now, again, another pro tip: you guys should be challenging for all the regional championships, because he would have took one. He definitely would have took one this cycle, and it's because it's disappointing to waste the 501.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that's a kick in the crotch. I think they're going to be. I think you'll see more consistent high strategies from that group moving forward in the BRL. So, because 16 did take a title, so
nice.
That's pretty sweet. So, congratulations, and I look forward to more shenanigans and tomfoolery from 16 and Angelo Marksmith.
Nice.
So, Scott, what's your next takeaway?
Well, I was looking at the tournaments to crown new champions in the IWL. We have the International Title Tournament and the South American Title Tournament. Both of those, correct me if I'm wrong, but those are both taking place in the famous wrestling city, Rio de Janeiro.
That's correct.
Okay. Glad I got that correct. And so I believe the semis took place this cycle, and so now those finals are set for those two new championships.
Yeah.
So I believe the international final was Dr. Slam and Hostile Takeover. So congratulations to one of those two guys. One of those two guys will be the new international champion.
The winner will get 10 free matches, by the way.
Nice. Always a nice bonus.
Yeah.
I don't mind having a couple extra free matches. You know, I take so few. I do so few matches that it's nice to have that extra. And then in the South American tournament, Magnum TL advanced to the finals along with Piper the Goofball Monroe.
Yeah.
So we'll see how that plays out with those tournaments. But I'm a tournament kind of guy. I always am invested in any tournament, no matter what.
You always win them.
Is.
That's why.
I mean, that doesn't hurt in the IWL. I did do pretty well last year, but generally speaking, I just enjoy tournaments in general, which is why there may be a league that has tournaments starting every cycle. But again, that's Universe Crossing.
Don't forget that the winner of the South American title will receive 10 free matches.
Nice.
And other news, by the way, after Soul Survivor, the IWL Heavyweight Championship match at the pay-per-views will have a 20 free match prize attached to it. So, not for this
one.
Yeah, not for this pay-per-view, but for the next moving forward, it will always have a 20 free match prize. So
that's fantastic.
Again, I want to make that championship hotly contested, and I want that to be the main championship of the league. So that's what we're doing.
No doubt.
Yeah.
No doubt.
We also have
if Graham Underwood manages to retain the title, and then win Soul Survivor, that's 20 free matches.
Yeah.
Nice.
Not gonna happen though. He's no way he's making it past Luther. It's just not gonna happen.
Impossible.
I think Jake just threw up somewhere.
Oh, Jake. Honorable mention, since it's right on that same page. Aaron McFleece, you mentioned the 501 in the BRL. Aaron McFleece hit a 501 in the IWL. So, big shout out to Fortune 501, Aaron McFleece.
He claims that he's Irish, but I don't know. I think he's Scottish.
I guess it doesn't make a difference to me. I mean, the Monroes are still going to beat him up, so
yes, I agree. My next takeaway is Tim Riggins III's TT. Of course, he's going after TJ Rock and Dr. Slam. Again, those are his opponents at Soul Survivor, which is next cycle. And then he talks about Ali Atari. He cuts a hell of a promo on Ali Atari. Great job, Tim Riggins III. By the way, Luther and Tim Riggins III just won the 4-pack challenge and will be challenging for the IWC Tag Team Championship at Wrestle Riot. So,
nice.
Yeah, there you go.
All right, a little build up for the next pay-per-view.
Mm-hmm.
Tim Riggins, since he came, I know he was active, but since he came back to the the TT side, he has been really, really strong.
Ever since he started hanging out with Luther all the time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting indeed. So, Scott, what's your next takeaway?
Well, my next takeaway is not only the fact that the NWL had an incredible 125 cards.
Jesus.
Kudos to all the managers in the NWL. That is a really, really strong number going into this time of the year. But is this my last one? This is my last takeaway.
Yeah.
Is the arrival of Blazer Corporation's Bookworm. And when you hear a wrestler called Bookworm, you would assume this guy's he's gonna be more cerebral, right? But that is not the case with the Blazer Corporation's Bookworm. He is apparently a man of massive size, over 7 foot tall. So he apparently likes to spend his time reading fiction, nonfiction, but he was graced with the physical tools and capacity, and he is described in this TT as a freak of nature. So
you say 7 feet, but he's way over 9 feet.
He looks like he's probably about 9 or 9.5 feet tall, I think.
Agreed. Again, another great addition to the Blazer Corporation, who is quietly taking over the IWA, I think.
I was gonna say that. I was wondering how big you were gonna make it, But yeah, there are pockets of the Blazer Corporation in several places, and they kill it everywhere they are. Looking forward to seeing what the Bookworm does. I like his vest here. That's a highlight for me as well. I enjoy a good vest. I would appreciate the addition of a tie underneath, but beggars can't be choosers. It's a nice touch, the vest.
I used to wear a vest all the time in the 90s. I used to have like a white T-shirt underneath it.
We all make mistakes.
It was weird times back then. It's weird times.
Yeah. Well, I had a spike and a mullet when I was a kid, so
you had a spike mullet?
I had a spike mullet. I don't even know if that's one word. Is there like a spullet? I mean, I know there's a skullet, but I had a spike, which was ridiculous size, and then a mullet in the back. So, kudos to my parents for allowing that. That was good.
I always tried to grow my hair long, but my hair never dropped. It just went up.
Oh, well, I think that's all the more reason to grow it out.
I look ridiculous. Plus, I dyed it blonde, too. That was circa 1999. I used to shave the sides, and then...
So I just dyed it blonde.
Just dyed it blonde. It's fucking awful. You know what's interesting to me in the CWL? They have a hot and cold list.
Yeah.
And who's hot right now in the CWL is the Agents of Chaos, Atticus Poundover, Jack Cavana, Dagger Bomb, and Barry Stevens. And who's cold are the Von Schnapp, Scotty Flash, the Railroad Warriors, Dixon, Tycon Road, and Death Warrant.
Oh, calling those folks out.
Yeah, do better.
Is this the same Scotty Flash that just won the IWL League title a few cycles ago?
Yeah.
Did he come over in the draft, or did he transfer?
I believe he was drafted.
Okay.
We haven't received Dynamite yet, but that should be coming out shortly, so I'm super stoked about that, especially for my TT. But looking here in the CWL, you have a nice TT from the Magnificent one, Jamie Montgomery. He calls Magnificent Motion, which sounds gross. He's talking trash about Barry Stevens. And I want to say that Barry Stevens beat Jamie in the tournament.
He did.
Yeah.
He did. So now Barry Stevens, to my understanding, is a double champion.
Double champ.
He is both the new Continental champion and also the Capital. I was right. Okay, I just need to trust myself and be confident. The Capital Championship.
Capital Championship. We do see a nice little picture here with Luther with his good friend Bill Cosby and O.J. Simpson, which I think is hilarious to me. But that goes to show you my sense of humor.
It does seem like two people that Luther would hang out with.
Right?
Yeah. And OJ wearing his cowboy boots is a nice touch.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Yeah. hypothetically speaking, if he were to wear cowboy boots, that's what it would look like.
Yeah.
Hypothetically.
I was looking for a glove with him wearing gloves, but I couldn't find one. I'm going straight to hell.
And I've often said that, if my time comes and God doesn't have a sense of humor, I'm in trouble. So,
well, I think he thinks shit's funny too.
He's got to.
Yeah, I think so too.
Bill Cosby looks way too happy in this picture, by the way.
Well, he has a can of Coke behind him. He's going to give it out to a young lady. Just the way it is.
Just how it is.
Put in pop. So again, looking at the overall cycle, looks like this is a very good cycle for the IWAR. I'm very happy with the overall amount of TT, with some new people on the title page, which is always nice to see. My good friend, Money Driven Mike Sebastian, won $50 in IWA credit by winning the BRO League. So congratulations, it's well earned. Also beat Luther in the pay-per-view, which I'm not bummed out about. Luther's a heel, so he finally gets his comeuppance. That's
nice.
I think that's one of the things that people tend to forget is that yes, we're in competition with each other, right?
Right.
Right. We want to win every single time, right? But for me personally, like especially when it comes to Luther, is like I don't mind him losing big pay-per-view matches.
Yeah. Because it makes a better story.
It makes a better story, and I'm always going to get my heat back. It's not, I can always say something like, "Oh, the biased referee" or whatever shenanigans. It's like what good heels would do. Like Ted DiBiase never won any matches on pay-per-view.
Right.
He's still the most over heel in the company for extended period of time. Yeah. So it's like I understand there's a competition portion of it, but you can't have a heel. You can't have a bad guy who wins all the times because then he's a babyface. You know what I mean? So it's like.
Yeah. I mean, not in 2018 because the baby faces don't win in 2018.
Well, I'm talking about historically.
Yeah, historically speaking, you are definitely right. Yes.
Right.
The other thing that I think of with this cycle in particular is how many high strategy totals there were.
Yeah.
It was an abundance of high strategy totals.
Usually a 495 will get you something.
Yeah.
It got me nothing.
Well, there were 496s and 497s that didn't get titles this cycle. I mean, when you have a 497 and you can't get on the title page, that's a lot of high strategies. In the NWL, they had several 498s and several other 495 and above. So
that's the good thing. Like that's when I was commissioner in the NWL, like my biggest thrill is when guys finally get it.
Yeah.
Like not even with strategies, with TT, with everything. Like once the light bulb clicks on, I'm like, man, they got it. Like that was the most satisfying thing to me about being the commissioner of the NWL is when guys finally got it.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems like we have a couple new faces. We have the author of Agony, LePage Turner, which is hilarious. LePage Turner should fight the Bookworm.
That would that's the perfect setup.
All right. That's awesome.
It's got to happen. Make it happen. Make it happen, young blood.
And it looks like we're having an influx of hillbilly characters. Every once in a while, we get like a group of like similar characters. Like we get like you usually get like 10 Russians and 10 luchadors coming all at the same time, which is weird. But we have Big Bad Bob who comes in with Goldberg's music. We have Billy Joe Jim Bob. We got Bubba Ben Fender in the IWL.
That's my favorite rookie right now. Yeah. All respect to everybody else, but Billy Joe Jim Bob takes the cake for me. There's not a better name going on right now in the entire IWAR than Billy Joe Jim Bob.
It's funny because there's a player called the Flying Burrito, Chuck Doyle, and I don't think a guy going by the name of the Flying Burrito should be named Chuck Doyle.
That's the irony.
Like some of these names they crack me up sometimes. I like to see the creativity. I like to see, some of the, like the Bookworm takes the cake. All of a sudden, it was like, oh, but you have other, NWL wise, it's like, it took a little bit longer than probably we expected for the turnover.
Yeah,
for it to build back up. But when you have like the Carnage Squad and Jordan Drake and Keelan Wendorf, when these guys are coming in, and the Blazer Corporation and all these guys, it's like
yeah,
awesome.
Railroad
there are
Express. Definitely things to be excited about with the rookies.
Yeah, so I'm super stoked to see that. So what I'm not stoked about is every cycle I get angry when I see shenanigans and tomfoolery. I'm not gonna go too deep in it, but I get mad sometimes. I admit it. I get upset.
I think we all do. I had a situation last cycle that I was like bent out of shape about, and we talked about it, and it's just why am I getting upset about this? This is not upsettable worthy.
Well, that's the thing too. It's like there shouldn't be things that piss you off, right? There's things that piss me off just about every single cycle. It would be someone's silly TT or a mischaracterization of a character. Like, for example, that one time where Luther got a wedgie and got thrown in a locker like he was 16 or something.
Right. Or that time that like a heel and a face were all hanging out and got beat up.
Yeah. So it's like, but you got to take it for what it is. It's different guys writing different TTs and different sneak attacks, and although they may have gotten your characterization wrong, there's nothing necessarily you can do about that. Now you can respond and try to guide it in the right direction, like where it needs to be.
Right.
I'll tell you a story. When I first started playing the game in the NWL, I was feuding with the brothers in question, the BIQ, and they did a sneak attack on Luther at an autograph signing. He doesn't sign no one's autographs. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I cut this killer promo on because one of the guys were Izzy Crazy, right? What the guy's name, and he would do like he was like a Sandman, right? So he would drink to the ring.
His name was Izzy Crazy.
Yeah, they were all like those type of names where like they were like just incredible Izzy Crazy.
Okay.
Right?
Now I got you. I thought it was space. Okay, Izzy. Gotcha. Yeah. Okay, Izzy. Good. Okay, go ahead.
So he was doing like the Sandman gimmick where he was always like drinking beer. So I did this thing where I'm at a bar and I'm sitting in the booth. Well, Luther's sitting in the booth cutting a promo. I was saying how the fans can cheer. I'm just drunk. He's degenerate. Blah blah blah. I'm clean as a whistle. I drink milk. All that kind of good stuff. Just getting heat. And I'm like, towards the end of the TT, there's a guy passed out in the booth. Sitting next to me. And I take his head up, and it's Izzy Crazy. I'm like, this is who you like? This is who you cheer for? And I slam his head back on the table. And I thought that was really
nice.
So I took their characterization and then turned it on them, which is probably the right thing to do, versus shoving someone in a locker or something stupid. But again, it's more about controlling your anger, because if you play an imaginary play-by-game male in 2018, you really have to be passionate about it. And sometimes we let our passions get the best of us. So I just want everyone to keep that in mind. There's always unintended heat, I guess is the appropriate word. Sometimes there's intended heat, or they call it trolling nowadays. That's what the kids call it, right? They call it trolling.
Yeah.
We get those every once in a while too. But it comes to scenarios where sometimes a person will piss someone off and not know that they pissed them off, or can't even understand why they pissed them off. And I think that has to be a little bit more, if you're really that angry, instead of writing a 3-page promo on the guy or sitting there and just being salty about it, you can always just ask. It's like, hey, listen, in the future, can you not do that? And 99% of the time, it's like, oh, dude, I didn't know. That's fine. That's cool. Whatever you want to do. And then there's some other guys that are just trying to get your goat. So. And sometimes it's hard to tell the difference. Like I can do this sneak attack where I completely obliterate this guy, and the guy would be mad at me because I obliterated him in this sneak attack, and I'm like, why are you being so sensitive? Right. And then the same thing can happen to me next cycle, and I'm mad.
Which goes back to what you said about you have to have a certain level of passion if you're playing the IWA in 2018. So
yeah,
I think for me my recent issue with my characters was I felt like, and this may have been really the first time I think I felt this strongly about my character's feeling misrepresented,
Yeah.
or maybe not even as much misrepresented as not respected. I think, I try very hard whenever I include somebody else to have respect for the amount of work that somebody has put into their character. And so I try not to make that character look foolish or like punked out if that's not how that character should look.
Right.
This was the first time that I kind of felt that way.
Like for example, if you have a character who's a badass, right? And you portray him as a badass, and then someone else writes a sneak attack where they run away like a coward.
Right.
Well, you done fucked up.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's not a good representation. Right. No.
And you have a character like Luther, for example, who is so ridiculous that you can almost put him in any situation, for the exception of getting shoved in a locker.
Right.
And it'll work because he's ridiculous.
Right.
You know, so it's like he would run away from a fight. You know, he would get beaten up because he's a smaller guy. He's at 6 feet tall, 202 pounds.
Yeah, he's not the biggest guy.
No, but again, it's about, if you're feeling angry about something, ask.
Yeah.
Try to look at it from someone else's point of view.
Yeah.
Sometimes we fuck up too, because sometimes when we write stuff, we think other people get it, and sometimes they don't. Like, right. I wrote that's how Luther became Russian, is because Bob didn't understand that my guy wasn't Russian, and he started calling him Russian. So he became Russian. Instead of going against that and saying, no, he's not Russian, I just made him Russian. Like, Luther was never intended to be Russian.
Yeah.
But he he did a TT from in Russia, and that might have been the one that he saw, and that stuck out to him. And so like, Comrade Luther, blah blah blah. It's like either I can go with it, or I can go against the grain. And I went with it, and I think that made Luther's character better. I wonder how many times Jake has thrown up by me mentioning Luther.
There does tend to be a lot of Luther talk.
He's my fucking guy. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention him. He's my guy. I don't go out of my way to try to talk about him. But when I'm trying to relay personal experiences, like, I only have one wrestler. Like, Luther's the only wrestler I have currently. Yes, I do have Black Demon and Heather Hyatt, but Luther's the only wrestler I have.
Yeah.
So
maybe that's part of my problem right now. Is
you think you have too many?
I'm trying. Well, I'm trying to run too many wrestlers, maybe, and I don't know.
I mean, it's very we can talk about not getting creatively stymied or getting creatively burnt out, because it happens to everyone.
Yeah. Well,
I'm creatively burned out every cycle until I have to sit down and write something.
Yeah. Well, normally the last couple cycles, just for me, I feel like, the weekend before Gold comes and I get energized and I write my stuff, and this time that just, I don't know, it just didn't happen for me. And
one of the things that you can do to combat that is, because there's so much excitement surrounding Gold Tuesdays and the fact that we can see the TT so early, some people may want to try to write their stuff earlier, that day, the day it comes out. Or the next day. That could help. And you're not sitting there at 3 o'clock in the morning trying to write TT, trying to think real fast.
Right.
You have 3 weeks.
Right.
know?
Right. I know.
So I can combat at least some of the mental exhaustion, is to write your stuff when you're excited about it, when it's fresh in your mind. It's like you look at it on Gold Tuesday, and then when you look at it the Sunday night before, you may have lost a little bit of that steam and that luster.
That is a good suggestion. I would echo that sentiment.
Yeah, so keep that in mind.
I think a word for the veteran players know this already, but the newer players, a word of humble, I won't even call it advice, but a word of mention is that I am in 3 feds now, and I deliberately have now place them so that I'm only in leagues that run on Tuesdays. So I have my weekend, which works for me. But I'm in 3 federations, which means that every single weekend I'm putting something together.
Yeah.
So if in between leaving the NWL in the end of this past year, which would be my sophomore year, second year, I had quite an expansion of characters. I still don't know if I would call myself a large roster character or a large roster player, but I have enough players now, and I TT for almost all of those characters. And so every single weekend I'm investing, a portion of my weekend. So if you're going to do that, just be aware that if you want to do it with TT and characters, you're going to be investing a significant portion of your time. And I know that seems obvious, but it bears mentioning. The more you have, the more time you have to dedicate. Yeah. And if you're, that's every single weekend. There's no off weekend. It's not like you do 3 and then you're off 1. And I think that's part of where I'm at right now is I have fun in Iron. I feel like my primary wrestlers are in Gold, and then my commissioning is in Bronze, and I love that too. But it almost is, it's constant right now, and I need to get into a groove where that works for me, I think. So my word of warning for players that are expanding soon or thinking about it.
You definitely want to. It's all about time management skills, right?
True that, and I have terrible.
I do a lot of different stuff. I do IWAR Tubecast. I do the First Take Tubecast. I got other shows on YouTube. NWA 1984 project is coming out shortly. I have another project in the works that I'm working on currently. I have my retro wrestling game review show. So but it's my hobby. You know what I mean? Right. It's like I know work, kids, paying bills, doing my husband duties. Some of them fun, some of them not so much. But it's about me fitting in the time. And do I sleep 8 hours a day? Probably not. I probably sleep closer to 5 or so. Yeah. But my day is pretty jam packed. Hence is why I do these shows so late in the evening. Because my days are jam packed with stuff to do, and it's not like. But if I can do it, I got kids. I think anyone that really wants to put an effort and really want to manage their time can carve out time to do it and do it the right way.
For sure. I guess I just mean, speaking about where I'm at currently.
Well, you're a crazy person with 3 feds. First of all, I'm in 1 fed. I was in 2 once when I was in the UWL. Yeah. Right. And even that was like, was rough.
Well, and I was in 4, if you can believe that, because I was in Steel. I was in Steel because I killed it in a certain league in Steel, and finally decided, enough is enough. I need to move on. And then I was in Gold. And then I was in Diamond, and then I was in Bronze, and so then I'm never going to Jade unless I win 5 Fed titles, and I have to go to Jade to win 6. I'm never going to Jade. So I moved to Iron, and I'm transferred out of Diamond, and so now I'm in Tuesday leagues, and that was an improvement for me. That made a big difference.
What it is too is like if you feel like you overexpanded. Don't be afraid to cut back. You can always place your guys in the graveyard leagues temporarily.
Yep. I actually did that. I did that with a couple of guys, with like some B and C level guys, however you would define it. I graveyarded a group of guys because it's just I needed to cut back. And that first cycle, I didn't have to do their stuff. I was like, this is nice. So
it's great being the commissioner of only 1 league instead of the 2 I was doing. I'm able to focus more on the IWL now and do more tournaments and come up with new ideas. And maybe on the next show I'll talk about where the location for Wrestle Riot's going to be. I think it's going to be amazing.
Is it going to be in space?
Dude, really?
Well,
ruined it. It's going to be on a Death Star.
Yes. That's fantastic. I will say for me, talking about commissioning more than 1 league, the 2 leagues that I commission are so different that although I have certain things that I treat kind of the same, like the rankings,
Right.
they're so different that it's not hard for me to kind of put on like this brain and do this work and then this brain and do this work, you know? And I think that's something, I rarely get things right, but I think what I did right is I have virtually totally different concepts going for both leagues. And so it's easier for me to do both because I'm not kind of muddying the waters with the same type of thing.
Yeah. So we have a lot of brand new commissioners. We have a lot of brand new leagues popping up.
I think that's exciting.
Oh, yeah, it's the best. You know, we have the Generation Next League. They have a Tubecast too, guys, by the way.
And it's very good.
Yeah.
I just listened to the new one today, and it's clear to me that those two gentlemen have a good rapport.
Yeah.
And they make it fun. I highly suggest people find it and listen. I enjoy it. So.
Oh, by the way, gentlemen, every time you say the word Tubecast, you're going to owe me 10 cents. That's my intellectual property, by the way.
You know what they did say, and I'm going to plug this last part of it, is I don't want to give away too much of their
No, go watch it. Go watch it.
Of their Tubecast, but there's a brief conversation about the term cycles and whether or not we should call them cycles. And so it's a really good, I really enjoyed the whole show, but that in particular, I'll say, you know, listen for that as you're listening to the Tubecast. I thought that was a very good point. And
the fact that it sounds gross?
No.
Menstrual cycle?
No.
Oh.
No.
Matt calls them episodes.
Episodes.
Yeah. I call them cycle because of continuity.
Yeah. I've always called them cycles too, but I may rip off the GNL.
Oh, they got a new idea, a fresh one.
The term he uses I like better, so I may rip it off, steal it. Because if it's one thing I learned from Juan Cena, it's that if somebody else is doing something good, just steal it and do it yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, that's one of the reasons why I read everyone else's commission reports.
Well, that's what you say.
It's the truth.
I'm not trying to sell you out, but don't you? I've talked
talked openly about how I've aped ideas. You know, it's just the way it is. You can only there's only so much you can actually do. And when someone comes up with something new, you're like, oh wow. You know, because you very rarely see something, a new concept. You know, I've come up with a new concept that other people have used. You know, if someone else comes up with a new concept, like, holy crap, that's sweet. I won't try to. I'm gonna try to make it my own and make it different, but core concepts are core concepts. You know,
right. I feel like
I go back to old bulletins from like the '90s and looking for shit. It's true.
Do you know there's a young me being a commissioner in like the late '90s?
Oh, that has to be
in
awful.
Certain leagues. It's atrocious. It's embarrassing.
Is it worse? Is it worse than your Randy Savage picture?
Worse than my Randy Savage. Like which would I rather release?
Like which one can I put on the video here?
Neither.
Oh,
neither.
God.
No way. I use my real name in the commissioner report, which is not wise.
Did you harassed by 4-year-old men?
I don't suggest that. And even in the late 90s, don't use your real name as a person underage.
Yeah.
Not smart.
Yeah. They shouldn't let underage people be commissioners. That's weird.
Yeah. Well, maybe they thought I was older because I was so smart.
It's so mature.
But then my report is not good.
It's clip art.
I don't even think there are any pictures in it.
Nice. So we have the GNL. We have the Monday Night League. That's going to be. I think that's going to be the next big thing.
Yeah.
In terms of a high concept league, a lot of work has to go into that, and I look at that. I'm like, I'm glad I don't do all that work.
Yeah.
They got three guys. They got three high reputation guys running it. So I look forward to that. We have the High Roller League. If you want to make some dough, some cash monies. You know, a lot of us about the cash money. I don't give away money like that.
No.
It's just not, no. I don't do. Someone asked me about why the IWL is not a credit league, and there's a lot of reasons why it's not a credit league. You know, I like to think that the strength of the report and the players are enough to draw more good players in without using the credit gimmick. I'm not saying that for those people who do it in their leagues, I'm not disparaging them. It's just something that I'm not interested in doing personally. So, answered your question.
Yeah. Well, I feel like there's, if everybody does it,
it's not special
whether it's
anymore.
credit league or not credit league, it loses its appeal, right? And so I think part of, as a commissioner, what we want to do is we want our league to stand out for certain things. And so that's just something that you feel you don't want for the IWL, and that's your call.
I mean, we do give away prizes, and big prizes.
Yeah, there are big prizes for sure.
Huge prizes. But every cycle, a credit prize for winning, league is something I'm not interested in doing. But thanks for asking. Vixens United League, we have the Revolting Women's League. So, although, to me, the Revolting Women, are they revolting or are they revolting? Because I read that like they're gross. Like it's an ugly women's league.
I didn't read it that way until you said it.
Wow.
And I humbly would mention that it's the Revolution Wrestling League. So it's not the women's revolution. The revolution is first.
I thought it was a Revolting Women's League.
No.
You were lying.
No, look it up.
I won't look it up.
I thought it was a cool name until you were revolting 4 cycles in a row, and then it's like, oh, maybe it's not. But
oh yeah, it is a Revolution Women's League.
Yeah, I thought it was cool sounding until you made me feel like that kid in class. He's like, oh, I'm not going to say anything.
But I'm digging the Revolution Women's League. It's named after Revolution Extreme, from what I understand. And the Vixens United League. So those are new leagues popping up, and I'm sure there's going to be more leagues popping up too, because I guess if you want to do a new league, this is probably the time to do it, because it seems like they're just rubber stamping everything right now.
Yeah, well, I mean, my understanding is you still have to have 10 managers, but it seems like there are a lot of new leagues starting, which I'm not sure if that's just like a cyclical thing, like if that happens in the IWA seen it like every once in a while.
Yeah, I've been playing for almost 5 years, and I've never seen anything like this before.
Okay, I was going to say, do you remember another time where so many new leagues were being created?
No, sir.
Okay. Past 4 or 5 cycles, this is 4 or 5 or 6 leagues.
Yeah. Which means there's a lot of high energy, a lot of creativity flowing right now, which is good to see.
Right, and I truly hope that that carries over in a year from now. We still see all those leagues. We see all those leagues doing well. All the leagues that are currently open for people who are more, strat based and report based. All those leagues are still doing what they do now. But I do have concern that either an advance somewhere is a constriction somewhere else. But
there's so many dead leagues though.
Right. That's what I was going to say. I was going to say the whole point of the game is to keep it alive and keep it going. So if there are 4 or 5 new leagues and then 4 or 5 leagues that aren't doing anything close up, I still say you're further ahead because you have 4 or 5 leagues that people care about now.
Yeah.
So, I think it's cool that so many new people or so many new leagues are coming from new voices and new ideas, and so I wish that some of them were in federations other than bronze, but
they're taking away your candy.
Awesome. I mean,
Well, we have a new commissioner in the BBL. About time they got a competent one.
Yeah,
it's been a while.
I'll definitely be watching what's going on there, and that's an example of an existing league that's got somebody new at the helm. I'll be reading his report every cycle.
If you want my personal recommendations this is for rookies who want to go into a new league that might be a little intimidated about the other IWAR leagues. So because they're running really, really tough right now. My personal recommendations are the ASL, the MML, and I would definitely go check out the BBL at this point.
Yeah, of those three, I would most recommend the BBL.
Yeah.
I think it's got the best opportunity for
Growth.
kind of instant growth. Yeah. The ASL's running pretty strong with a lot of good players. Still a great league to go to.
Yeah, 95% of them are NWL guys. I look at their title plates, I'm like, oh, these guys look familiar.
Yeah. The MML is very, very cool, very active. They do have a lot of wrestlers, though.
Yeah.
So that, if I'm putting my 2 cents on those three leagues, I think the BBL is a good place for guys to check out. At least
go over there, check it out, give it a try. I think it's definitely a worthwhile league to go to.
We have all the bulletins now online, so just
just go look. You don't have to pay $1 no more.
Yeah. Well, and don't be afraid to leave gold.
Yeah, for real.
If you don't want to go to
go to XPL.
XPL's awesome. It's a 6 wrestler limit. I'm there. I like it. It's a fun league. There are lots of leagues around the IWA that are limit leagues if that's what you want. Not the guys have to do that.
Yeah, you can go to the Cage of Honor leagues. You can go to the Lone Wolf League. There's definitely ones out there other than what's in gold. So check out. Go spend like 15 minutes. Go through all the bulletins, and if you see something you like, go to that league. Right.
If you open up a bulletin and it's 8 pages, there's probably not much going on there. But if you open it up and it's 24 or more, there's probably a commissioner there. There's probably some trash talk there. If that's what you want to play with, then I would check it out. If you don't, and again, I think
especially if you're feeling right now, if you feel stale or you feel like you're not getting any traction right now, like
definitely
go away and come back. It's like you can come back.
Right.
So guys, just keep that in mind for those people who say the IWAR horde players. It's inaccurate.
Well, and I feel like
we've done entire shows talking about non-IWAR leagues. We've done entire shows.
Maybe we should do another one of those.
Yeah, we're probably getting close. I want to review all these new leagues once they get up and running. I gotta wait a couple seconds, including the UNL.
If we have another cough all-star spectacular roundtable, I think we should do some of those. All these new leagues.
Yeah, I agree there. Don't forget, in this month's IWAR magazine, we have our large roster report. So, guys, definitely check that out. If you guys are interested in joining one of the IWA wide stables, we're talking about Virus, IMT, Edge, that's a good place to start. And then you can reach out to one of their, representatives to see about actively joining.
Definitely. So I enjoyed those 2 pages.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool. It was really well done.
Yeah, I would agree. There's a lot of I appreciate the rankings, but I think even more than the rankings, I appreciated the little info bites.
Yeah, the histrionics.
A lot of good stuff. I'd check it out.
Yeah, definitely. All right, guys. So we are officially running out of time. So for Scott Anderson, I'm Juan Cena.